Pew! What's going on, everybody? My name is Giraffe Anatomy, and I am just the little guy in the box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And today we are going over another SMITE Quick God Guide. Today's guide is for Apollo, the god of music, Mr. Pretty Boy, finger guns himself. So without further ado, what we'll do is we'll get into some jungle practice here. And the purpose of today's video is basically just to give you guys a high-level overview of Apollo, his abilities, kind of the way he's used in SMITE, the way you can combo them together, and hopefully by the end of this video, you are able to get into an arena joust conquest game and be able to utilize him effectively, right? I will use the basic skins, but I do love me some Hopper PI, me and him, with the flare, hanging out. It's Friday for me. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm wearing my Hawaiian t-shirt. It's getting a little festive. So yeah, what we'll do is we will start by going over Apollo's passive. Apollo is a hunter, so he's a ranged physical character. He uses his little finger guns, like every kid's imagination. Who wouldn't want to shoot fireballs out of their hands? And what we can do is go over his first or his passive real quick, and what I'll do is I'll also grab Blink and just beads just to get this message out of my way. So yeah, so let's talk about Apollo's passive. Apollo's passive is called Audacity. After 10 successful basic attacks, Apollo gains Audacity, increasing his attack speed by 100% for the next 5 basic attacks, hit or miss, that he makes. Apollo also gains 1 stack of Audacity for each successful damaging ability on enemy gods. So what this means is as you auto attack, if you just auto attack nothing, it's not going to stack, right? This is his passive down here in the bottom left hand corner. But if you do successfully hit your basic attacks, whether that's on Odin bots or minions, I'll also show you on minions real quick. If you are able to auto these, right, you're going to be stacking this passive. And once you get stacked, now look at it, it's fully stacked. You can see it's lit up. You have the Audacity attack speed, and look at his attack speed. It's now 2.22. And look at how much faster he fires these next 5 basic attacks, right? So now he's at 1.27 attack speed without anything. Once he gets those 5 going, it shoots a lot faster. Now realize once you get this final stack here, right, and he has this, these next 5 basic attacks, whether you hit or miss, will be at this attack speed. So you can hit, but if you miss, it's still going to utilize these faster than normal attack speed buffs, right? So really quick, gonna just show you one more time. Look at how much faster he attacks just from his passive for those next 5 basics. Awesome. So that is his passive, and we'll talk about how this synergizes with items and stuff like that a little later on in this video. Apollo utilizes things like Silver Branch Bro really well because of this. But let's get into his first ability. So beautiful. So beautiful. Apollo strums a single chord on his lyre. It's so beautiful, it hurts. And all enemies in a long range line take damage. So very basic ability. It's literally just a line like this, and anybody in it takes damage. Very simple. Nothing much else to it. You can use it to clear waves very well. You basically just walk up to the wave, you press your 1, and you will clear the minions, right? So yeah, that's his 1. There really isn't much else to say about it, except it does some damage in a line. It also does, like he said before, when you do this, when you hit somebody with your ability, you do stack your passive with that. So let's talk about his 2, Serenade. Apollo uses his amazing voice to mesmerize all nearby enemies and bolster himself with an additional physical protection. Any damage done breaks the effect. So mesmerize starts at 1.2 seconds, goes up to 2 seconds when it's fully maxed out, right? And then he also gets a buff of physical protections when he mezzes somebody. So really quick, this is what it looks like. It's a circle around Apollo, and any enemy god in it gets mesmerized. Now, the difference between a mesmerize and a stun is that when you mez somebody, if any damage is dealt to them, they will break out of it. With a stun, that doesn't happen. You can do damage to them and they're still stunned while they're taking the damage. With Mez, if you do damage, they'll break out of it as soon as damage is done. So that is not only damage that you do to them, but any damage an enemy does to them, any damage like a buff camp does to them, any damage, period. If your solo has Mystical Mail and you Serenade them and they're right next to them and Mystical Mail ticks, they're going to wake up from it, from getting that magical tick damage, right? And you can see the bubble around Apollo after he Serenades that shows you that he has some magical protections. So real quick, or sorry, physical protections. See this little bubble around him? For these 3 seconds, your protections are increased. It's just your physical protections, but you can see down there in the bottom left-hand corner, instead of 75, when he Serenades, he goes up to, it's an extra 30, so it should be 105 here. So you can Serenade him. Yep, 105. So yeah, that is his 2. And it's a great engage tool. It's a great disengage tool. I'll kind of show you how they all work together after we talk about Apollo's 3rd ability, which is the moves. Apollo runs forward and slides on his knees, dealing damage, knocking aside all enemies, and adding a stack of audacity for each enemy hit. At the end of the slide, the movement speed is decreased for enemies and increased for himself and allies. Now, here's one thing you have to note. You can do this to somebody and do, but you need to like hit them with Apollo's body to get that, to get that damage effect and to add the stacks of audacity. So even though I slid in over here, you'll see that I'm not stacking any audacity here. It's just applying the movement speed to me and the debuff to them when they're in that little circle. You have to hit them with your body for this to work. That is one thing some people might not get. Now watch what happens when I go through him. Watch the passive stack here. Right? You saw a little passive stack. So if you go through them, that's when you're going to do the damage, and that's when you're going to be able to stack more of your passive. So if you go through multiple enemies, which I believe can be done just with these 2 Odin bots, let me show you. Right here. Yep. So I'm able to hit both of them, and you saw the little damage numbers come up as I slid through them. That's where the damage is coming from. If Apollo's going through people, it's not that radius. That radius that you see there is just for the movement speed, buff duration, and everything like that. So you can hit 2 people with this. They'll get the debuff, and you'll get the movement speed buff. And you can see his movement speed went to like 490 something when I did that. But yeah, so with these 3 abilities, you can do a lot when it comes to engaging and disengaging with Apollo. You can start by 3ing into somebody like this, serenading them, hitting them with some basics, hitting them with your 1, right? That's a good engage. If somebody's almost dead, you can kind of use your 3 to get in. Now be careful, because your 3 is your escape. You don't want to use it if you're in danger, or if it's like maybe like a team fight or something like that, unless you have your teammates around you and they're all really low and you want to go in and like kill 1 or 2 people, right? So I wouldn't engage with your 3 unless you know for a fact you're going to be able to get at least 2 kills out of it, right? But you can use it to engage, and then you Serenade right after, and then you use your 1 and your basic attacks, right? Also, another way to use these abilities is for disengage. If you're being chased down by an enemy and you need to get away, Serenade is a great way to do that. So if somebody comes and if they're chasing you, right, you can basically Serenade them, 3 away. You get those little protections while you're running away from them and everything. If you 3 out, you should get that movement speed, and it just enables you to kind of like get away and disengage from a lot of things. So like I said before, you can Serenade them, 3 away. You get that movement speed. You just keep on running. You will put a lot of distance between yourself and the enemy that was diving you. So this is great for jungles and things like that that are trying to dive you or gank you or something like that. And then obviously his 1 you use when you need to damage some people. You don't use it as much for disengage. I guess if someone's chasing you, you can do this and then just cover yourself with like a 1 and then run away or something like that. But really you should just focus on getting out if you're trying to run away from those. So let's talk about the big kahuna, his ultimate. Let's talk about, it's not named that. His ultimate's called Across the Sky. Apollo rides his chariot across the sky, choosing when to land, dealing damage every 0.2 seconds for 0.8 seconds as he lands. Enemies hit by the last tick of the landing will also be knocked up. So one thing to note about his ultimate, and that I will show you, when he goes into the sky, it costs 10 plus, and then whatever it is per second, right? So 10 plus 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 per second. You will need mana to use this ability. I will show you without any items what it looks like. You'll see how fast his mana drains as he does this, but this is basically what his ultimate looks like. He's CC immune when he's calling it up. He can still be damaged in that time though, but basically he's able to fly around in the sky for as long as you have mana. He does not have a time limit, but once your mana runs out, you will go down. Now, what I'll do is I will get an item here. I'll show you Transcendence, and we'll stack it so I can get a ton of mana. And that way we should have like twice the amount of time that we're able to show you what his ultimate looks like here. But yes, so basically his ultimate allows you to get up into the sky and running around, and then you can choose where you want to land. And then when you hit that spot, it will basically do damage at that spot as you're landing, and then enemies hit by the last tick get knocked up. So let me kind of show you what that looks like. If you're running around, you can utilize this in Conquest a lot, like scoping out a fire giant fight and things like that, scoping out Gold Fury, because you're in the sky, you have vision on a lot of gods. But if you're just trying to land on a few enemies, right, which actually they're immune to the knockup, that was not a good example. Let me show you on one of these Odins the knockup that they get, because it will knock them up if you hit them with all of these abilities. But basically you use this and then you're able to come down on some enemies here. With that last one, as he hits, they get knocked up, right? So he's doing tick damage the entire time as he's landing, and he's able to knock them up. So this is a great team fight engagement tool. Apollo can utilize this in so many different ways. In Conquest, he can be over in his lane and you guys can have wards on Fire Giant, and he can be farming and split pushing, and then when your team calls, hey, it looks like they're grouping up for fire, they're gonna start it, you can just alt out and then go over to the team fight and come in. So a team can start as like a 4v5 or a 4v4, and then you can come in and make it a 5v5 or a 5v4 or something like that, right? So it's a great, Apollo's great at split pushing in game modes like Conquest because he's very safe, because basically all you do is you keep going, you knock down all the towers, and if somebody comes to gank you, you literally just use your ult to get out. So let me get into his ultimate one more time. I don't want to change teams. What am I doing? What am I doing? Reset the cooldowns. That's what I wanted. So yeah, so using his ultimate, like I said, the more mana you have, the longer you're able to stay in the sky. That's why Transcendence is built on him a lot of times, because Apollo is mana hungry with his abilities and with his ultimate. You don't want to get into a fight and not be able to use any abilities either, especially if you're flying all the way across the map. But you can use his ultimate to scope out things like Fire Giant. You can basically just hang out here and look and see if the team's doing it if you don't have a ward, or if they are doing it, wait to like fall on it at the very last moment and try and steal it or something like that, right? Obviously, if you land with no mana, you're not able to use any abilities. It's a danger with Apollo. So yeah, so that's why Transcendence is like almost a must with him. So real quick, let's get into some of his items that he utilizes very well. Obviously, when you're starting with Apollo, starter items, good things are like Leather Cow, Deathbringer, Gilded Arrow. Like these are probably going to be the main three that you start with on him. Leather Cow's pretty good on him because you get attack speed and physical lifesteal. Death's Toll can be good as well if you upgrade to Death's Temper later to get that extra 30% attack speed. And why would you get more attack speed when he already gets a lot of attack speed? I'll show you in a second, and that's going to be because of the second item that he uses really, really well is Silver Branch Bow, and Silver Branch Bow's passive. So the passive, in case you didn't know, for Silver Branch Bow is for each 0.02 attack speed that you go over 2.5, which is the cap, you gain 2 physical power. So I just want to show you, if you're building attack speed on Apollo, so let me do this. I'll sell these items and I will build them in the order that you'd normally get them, right? Start with something like a Death's Toll. Then you would go into your Transcendence, and you'd get Aussie, right? So you get Aussie because Transcendence isn't like Dev Gauntlet. It's not a heal item. You need some sustain in lane. So you normally get these two. When you get one, you get the other because you need some lifesteal of some sort, right? To go with this. And then Death's Toll provides a little bit of lifesteal and healing when you're hitting your basic attacks too. So with these 3 items, you're doing pretty hot. And then you can either go into Silver Branch after this to get the 20% physical penetration. And then once you have this built, right, when you're able to stack up his passive here, you're already at 2.5 attack speed just with these 3 items, right? It's basically Aussie and Silver Branch Bow that's giving you this. Once you get to 2.5, he's already over the cap when he hits this. So you're getting 12 stacks of this Silver Branch Bow, which means you're getting physical power, right? So you're able to, for this short period of time, get those extra stacks. You're getting that extra power. You're hitting a little bit harder just with Silver Branch Bow. And then normally Apollo is built after these items, which I think this is mostly core on Apollo. Getting Transcendence, Aussie, and like Silver Branch, you're going to see in almost every Apollo build. You can either go crit or you can go attack speed. More attack speed will stack that passive even more. I see a lot of people, they will throw like a Wind Demon in there. Like I've seen the attack speed crit build, which is you just do a Wind Demon and then you do like an Atalanta's Bow. And sure, you're not getting a Deathbringer in there, but both of these do induce attack speed. You're getting a little bit more penetration out of this. You're going to be able to be critting enough with these. And then when you hit a crit, the passive of Wind Demon, his attack speed is increased by 10%. Your movement is increased by 10%, and you get 10% physical penetration for 4 seconds every time you crit. So this will add into even more attack speed. So you'll see when I crit, I'm getting like these crazy attack speeds, right? It's like you'll see that Silver Branch stack here in a second. 33 after he hits this, right? It's like that's a lot that you're able to hit for, and you're still hitting pretty fast. I've also seen other builds where you will just still be going attack speed, so you'll get something like a Kins to shred them. I've seen like Odysseus Bow and stuff too. So now you're at 2.27. You're basically doing this. You'll do all that extra damage with the oboe. The reason oboe is viable is because it will give you that extra attack speed. You're able to stack on the Silver Branch once you hit his passive, right? So you're able to do a bunch of damage there. I've seen things like you can also build stuff where you just put a Wind Demon just to get a random crit in there every now and then, but you'll still do something like a Kin Size, even like an Ichabod. You can do stuff like I don't see Crusher on him as much because you're not really using Crusher to do the damage, even though it has some attack speed into it. So yeah, I mean, he utilizes Executioner pretty well as well. Just stacking that physical penetration with Executioner right now is pretty good. And realize this is without the Death's Temper upgrade. So really quick, let's upgrade Death's Toll to Death's Temper, where you're getting a 30% attack speed increase. And let's do the crit build real quick. So I'll just do the Apollo with crit at the end of it. And you'll see he's hitting pretty fast. He's hitting pretty hard. And you're getting at least 30% physical penetration with the 20% from Silver Branch Bow and the 10% from Death's Toll. You're getting a little bit more lifesteal from Atalanta's Bow, plus the crit strike and the attack speed. It's synergizing with Aussie. It's all really like working together. With like Death's Temper and stuff like that. So yeah, he can build attack speed very well and utilize Silver Branch Bow incredibly well with that. So let's go real quick over here. I'll just show you on like a bot or two, like Guan Yu. And the best thing about this is you do get enough pen from Silver Branch Bow that if somebody has healing, you can actually forego this and get something like Shadow Steel Shuriken. So now you have some. Oh, and this is without Transcendence stacked, man. Here, I'll show you. Once this item's stacked, boom, it's gonna be hitting a lot harder. I didn't even notice that because I was hitting Odin bots and stuff like that, and I sold it before. But yeah, so with Transcendence stacked, he's gonna be hitting even harder. This is with the anti-heal, the Shadow Steel on it. It doesn't let Guan Yu heal as much, right? If you're versing healers and stuff, you can kind of pop that in there. If they don't have crazy healing on their team, you can go Wind Demon. And you can see as these Death's Temper stack, you're able to just like melt through people, right? And I'm not even using abilities. This is literally just me using his basic attacks. Once I start using these. So yeah. pretty solid build on him. Like I said, you can also do things like sell this here, do like a kin size and an Odysseus bow. This will also get you the stacks that you want on Silver Branch. That Odysseus bow comes in handy with team fights. You're able to shred through tanks pretty well with this type of build, especially if you have another teammate that already has crit on your team and somebody's built a spectral armor for them. You're able to literally just shred those tanks that come at you with a build like this with kin size, with 20% from the Silver Branch. And then as you hit them, the oboe will hit their teammates around them. This dude is going nuts. It's just yelling pentakill all the time. So yeah. And look, I have, like, with my Audacity stacked, I have 50 stacks on Silver Branch bow. That is crazy. So Apollo can be utilized in all these ways. I think, like I said before, most of these items are the core that you'll see Transcendence, Aussie, Silver Branch. And then you can go any variety of attack speed, other attack speed item that you want with him, and you can't really go wrong. That's just how to utilize them. So I think that's it. That about covers Apollo. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave comments. If you guys have any other tips and tricks that I missed, always feel free to post and let us know what other tips and tricks or build items that you like on Apollo. If you'd build him differently or do other things, definitely put a comment down so people can see it and then they can learn from you guys. If you guys are interested, we do run a SMITE learning server called the SMITE Dojo. What we do is we do like Conquest 101 sessions. We'll play with new players. We'll teach them how to build gods. Just play Conquest with you guys, and we'll be able to help you, teach you kind of like when to do objectives, how to lane, team comps, like who's good against who, right? Like we basically just like helping people learn the game of SMITE, playing together. It's super non-toxic. We just try and be nice. Even if you're bad at SMITE, like it's fine. Like we were all bad at one point, right? The purpose of these videos and the purpose of our server is basically just to get better, to be able to play with like a little bit loose and not always feel like, hey, I'm letting my team down or anything. Like the expectations are like super low. It's just to play for fun. It's to play to learn and things like that. So if you preface it beforehand and say, hey, like I'm not very good, I'm going to try out a new god or something like that, we know like, hey, we've all been there before. We understand you might not do the best, but you got to learn and do it to experience it and get better, right? So we're just here to harbor and foster something like that for you guys. So feel free to join. It's in the link in the description below. And then also like and subscribe my videos so they can get out to more people, and subscribe for more content. I'm basically going to be doing every single god in SMITE, doing a quick god guide of them. We're also going to be doing a build video here shortly where we're going to go through every item in SMITE, explain what it does, why you use it, and what gods it's used the best on, and build scenarios and things like that, and synergies between the items. So stick around for that, and we will get that out to you shortly. So I just want to say thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy life. I'll see you next time.